All right, everyone, now it's time to discuss the uprising solution that some Republicans see to the mess of ballot harvesting, because lopsidedly Democrats have organized to participate in the process. That's the idea that you're not just registering people to vote. In some states, although not all, you can also have a person take a ballot from a person and turn it in for them. And so, you go to the nursing home, I guess, and give people the absentee ballots, and then they fill them out, and then you take them in. The process is messy. Hong Kong will use that terminology. For example, a person could harvest the ballot, see what was marked on the ballot, and decide not to turn it in if they didn't like what was written on the ballot. It is possible. It is physically feasible for that to happen. It's not legal. It's very much in violation of election law. But if you got some 80-year-old woman in a nursing home that you've signed up to vote and gotten the ballot to them to take in, is it likely that she's going to check whether she voted in the election thereafter? Probably not. And there are networks of people that organize to participate in ballot harvesting. Again, it is only a thing in a couple of dozen of the states. I think some of them are quite partisan anyway, so other than House races, probably doesn't have a huge outsized impact on results. The Republicans argued against ballot harvesting being a thing. They have consistently argued for several years that the entire premise is problematic. Now you have some Republicans saying, well, we can't beat them, let's join them. We're going to learn how to harvest ballots too, and we're going to go out there with volunteers, and we're not just going to register people to vote, we're going to make sure that the ballots get where they're supposed to go. I look at this as the political ring of Sauron. I would ask these Republicans to please look at states like Florida that have banned this practice effectively and instituted voter ID. What just happened in the midterms? It's a little bit of an anomaly. States that defortified their election systems, or weren't to begin with, lopsidedly went for the GOP, including in House races. If you look at those margins, the House Republicans outperformed in this last election. Heavily, handily. The Senate is still out to lunch, but that's the methodology is a little bit different. House races, of course, involve districts, not entire states, unless the entire state is a district. So Vermont, Wyoming, I think Alaska. I'm not sure if Alaska's on the list anymore. Maybe the Dakotas. I can't remember. The list changes sometimes based on census results. Anyway, the problem is this. If you are using the wonky methodology that really should not exist in the first place, which is the idea that a person unrelated to you can take your ballot and turn it in for you, and it gets really close to the Tammany Hall sort of thing where, you could have fuckery going on. You could theoretically have a person saying, well, I'll give you $10 right now. I'm not giving it to you to fill out this ballot, though. I want you to fill out the ballot. I just like you. I'm going to give you $10 or something. And there's a wink and a nudge. You get damn close to almost encouraging people to violate sitting election laws. And again, this is only a thing in certain states. Even if you assume that's not happening, the fact that it is possible should be worrisome. This is why principled people have stood against it. While the Republicans may have no choice but to engage in this behavior, if you're encouraging it for the purposes of, well, we're gonna learn how to harvest ballots as well as the Dems. We're gonna out harvest them basically. We're gonna get mass turnout going. Therefore, we're gonna overrun them in multiple states, and then afterwards we'll ban the ballot harvesting. That's not the way that politics works. That's not the way that power works. Once the Republicans proceed to begin doing this, if they are successful, and they win by an unexpectedly large margin, hell, maybe even Donald Trump wins re-election, partially because of the Republicans following Pressler's advice and harvesting ballots. And of course, with a concerted effort, that's very much possible. There are a lot of people who probably would vote if somebody else were going to handle the legwork for them. I'd like to vote, but it's a rainy day, and fuck it, the polling place is a mile away. I've got turnips to farm or something. The problem is that when it is then shown to be successful, when this happens, they will not want to relinquish that ring of power. They're going to end up just like goddamn Bilbo Baggins, all fucked up. That's the problem. You're engaging in behavior that you have repeatedly condemned. It's going to lead to you potentially gaining more power, but you're not going to put the genie back in the bottle. Of course they're not. They're politicians and shit. Activists, they're going to make money doing it too. They're not going to want to relinquish that capability once they think it'll lopsidedly benefit them. It's like ending the filibuster. The Democrats are constantly whining right now about how we need to get rid of the filibuster, which does not appear to be likely to happen anytime in the immediate future, even if Georgia's runoff goes to Warnock. Just to be clear, there are more than 2 senators in the Senate that have said from the Dem Party that they will not vote to end the filibuster. That's because the filibuster gives them lopsided negotiation capabilities within the Democratic Party. And it's not just Manchin and Sinema, Feinstein, who's still somehow clinging to her sanity, at least in a tangential sense, is against it too. So enjoy, Dems. You'll be primarying multiple of your own senators over the next few years, but you're not going to get your way in the end. If you were to eliminate the filibuster, the Democrats would pat themselves on the back and begin rubber stamping all the bullshit that they want. I mean, with a Republican House, a lot of it wouldn't be meaningful, but they would do this for political reasons. Eventually, the Republicans would have the Senate. Would they immediately reinstitute the filibuster, or would they maintain it as the status quo? They'd maintain it. They could have restored the judicial filibuster if they had wanted to. They had control of the Senate to do so multiple times since it was lost years ago. Have they made one iota of attempt to change it back to the former system that they lamented being lost in the first place? No, of course not. They used it willingly. McConnell and the others there used it as a rubber stamping process for judicial nominees. The Republicans cheered this. Thought it was a great thing. Wow, so many Trump justices are ending up in the courts. While the effect is very positive, you also now have a situation where the Democrats can do the same thing. Citizens United. Have they ever, they talk all the time, they campaign on ending Citizens United. Have they ever brought it before a significant enough vote for it to have a chance to pass? No, of course not. They love that corporate cash. They swindle and embezzle a lot of it, by the way, too. The problem with the Republicans delving into ballot harvesting is the system should never have been implemented in the first place. It just should not exist. It's too rife. I mean, the very concept of it doesn't make sense. Just make Election Day a federal holiday and get a subsidy going for the elderly and sick and shit to be bussed in or something. Have absentee ballots only for people who are genuinely like overseas or something, and have voter ID. That's what we should do, and that's what the GOP was pushing for. Now I guess they're organizing ballot harvesting groups now. Very, very interesting times we live in. That's about all. Peace out.